things started to get better for me.
Welcome back to another My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 2 breakdown, this time going over Episode 6 titled Rain and Cloud, finally giving us Eraserhead aka Shota Aizawa's backstory. Of course, we are going to be breaking down the episode, going over all the hidden Easter eggs and references, as well as the entire season, so be sure to Detroit, smash that like button, and subscribe to the Kidoroki channel so that you won't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes breakdowns. Now, to start things off, the anime has changed the order of arcs around from the manga, as in the manga, the School Days arc featuring Aizawa's backstory actually takes place after the Sky Egg arc. The anime is definitely taking a page from season 5 of My Hero Academia, except here the switch in arcs actually works better and fits with the pacing of the story. Now, the episode begins with Aizawa on patrol, receiving a call from Midnight. They talk about Midnight being a teacher, and as she describes how fun everything is, Midnight can be seen brushing a cat which looks to be the same exact cat, or at least a similar looking cat to Sushi, the cat Aizawa finds in the past. Midnight pushes the thought of Aizawa also becoming a teacher at UA, since Present Mike is going to be starting his teaching career next semester at UA. Aizawa isn't all that interested, and Midnight mentions how Present Mike believes Aizawa to be the kind of guy who won't take action without a good shove from the back. Aizawa thinks Mike meddles too much for his own good, but Midnight agrees with Mike, believing that Aizawa has been shying away from what really matters. Aizawa knows that Midnight is telling the truth about him, but he avoids wanting to talk about it with her, telling her that her and Mike meddle too much for their own good, and hangs up the phone. Aizawa then helps Koichi save a little girl and cat from a wolf villain, who are clear references to Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. Koichi is left with the cat, and while Aizawa is calling in the villain takedown, it begins to rain. Aizawa and Koichi take shelter, and here we get to see Aizawa's love for cats shine through, as he presses Koichi on what he's going to do with the cat and how hard it's going to be for Koichi to take care of the cat if he were to take it home, because if he can't see himself with the cat for long, then he's better off putting the cat back where he found it. Koichi thinks Aizawa has something against cats, as the whole time Aizawa had been avoiding even looking at the cat. Aizawa simply tells Koichi to not be swayed by his emotions, and if he isn't prepared for the responsibility, then it's best for him not to get involved with it in the first place. We finally head back to the past, as we see a young 16-year-old Aizawa in the rain looking at an abandoned cat. While reflecting on the past, Aizawa says that he isn't All Might. An ordinary person like him only has so much power. Back then, he wasn't even close to being who he is now, as he couldn't even save a single cat, and ever since he was a kid, that's how he saw himself. All Might here being a key reason why everyone in the world of My Hero Academia became so reliant on his power, to where people like Aizawa feel powerless in comparison and feel like they can't do much because of it. Thankfully, in the future, Deku does set society back on the right track, where they now reach out to help others. Aizawa then leaves the cat alone, but giving the cat some shelter from the rain by leaving his umbrella behind. We once again return back to UA as Aizawa enters class 2A soaking wet. The teacher lets him know that he needs to look after his health as part of his duties as a student walking the path of a hero. Aizawa, frustrated, has a hard time picturing the hero path due to just how powerless he feels. Fun fact about Aizawa's teacher here is that he works with curses, kind of like an exorcist, which confirms that there are other supernatural elements within the world of My Hero Academia other than just quirks. Present Mike is also in his class, and he begins to mess with Aizawa, overhearing him calling himself powerless. Shirakumo comes in the classroom through the window thanks to his cloud quirk, wanting to join in on the action with Aizawa. As we see later in the episode, Shirakumo's entire hero costume and cloud quirk are inspired by Dragon Ball and the series' main protagonist, Goku. Shirakumo's costume sees him wearing a martial arts uniform underneath his jacket, with his jacket even having a symbol on the back just like Goku's gi. And just like Goku had once used the power pole as his main weapon when he was a child, Shirakumo also uses a red red quarterstaff as his main weapon for combat. His quirk being a cloud that he can ride on and summon references the flying nimbus that Goku and Gohan use throughout all of Dragon Ball, which makes sense because just like how the flying nimbus in Dragon Ball only allows those with pure hearts to ride it, Shirakumo is the most pure-hearted out of the friend group. But Dragon Ball isn't the only anime that his costume references, as the goggles he wears also references Obito from Naruto, which is a deep cut, as just like how Obito would go on to die at a young age but later return as a villain in Naruto Shippuden, Shirakumo does the exact same thing, with him eventually being brought back to life by All For One, who would turn him into Kurogiri. Shirakumo hands Aizawa his umbrella, which makes Aizawa ask if there wasn't something under the umbrella when he found it. Shirakumo gets undressed in front of the class, using his quirk to cover his body as he changes out of his wet clothes, and reveals to the class the cat he found. Aizawa once again reflects on his past and notes how that bad attitude of his began to change little by little in the summer of his second year at UA, as the sun begins to shine through the clouds, and Shirakumo looking back at Aizawa with a big ol' smile on his face, showing us just how impactful Shirakumo and their friendship will be on Aizawa and his future. Turns out, typically for summer vacation, second year students go on work study under a hero agency, but Aizawa, Present Mike, and Shirakumo haven't been assigned to a single agency yet. The entire class ends up doing joint practical exercises, with Class B going over battle training, rescue training, and entertainment training, where Aizawa doesn't do well at all since he doesn't like being in the spotlight. In the background, we can see a hero that looks exactly like Groot from Marvel. During the battle training exercise, Sensoji calls out Aizawa for being a lame hero. He isn't able to shine with his quirk because of Aizawa's erasure, but what's worse about Aizawa is that despite being able to erase someone's quirk, evening the playing field for himself, he still loses in a fist fight. The teacher butts in, separating the two, and when seeing if Aizawa was okay, the confrontation only solidified how Aizawa felt about himself and his quirk being weak. While on lunch, Aizawa further thinks about how he doesn't know what route he should take when it comes to being a hero with his quirk. Shirakumo suggests that he should be a battler type hero since his quirk is good for tripping villains up, forcing them to fight on even terms, though Aizawa isn't too sure about this because he isn't much of a fighter and doesn't know how he would be able to handle a big brawler. Aizawa is seen babying the cat, showing how much he really loves cats, and we are then introduced to a young Midnight who just returned from her work study and is a third year student at UA. She is called out for not wearing anything underneath her coat, and she corrects them all by saying that this is actually her costume. Her birthday suit style costume is meant to be bold and practical, as her costume supports both her quirk and her movement. She isn't ashamed for how it looks and doesn't care what anyone else thinks, as within a year she plans to have all of Japan thinking differently about her costume. Unfortunately for her, this doesn't quite happen, as within a year, because of her costume, the government puts forward the Hero Costume Skin Exposure Limitation Act, making it so there needs to be a certain amount of skin that needs to be covered by a hero's costume. Midnight and this act are the reason why in the future Creati has difficulties with her costume and quirk, where her costume makes it difficult to create large objects from her body. On the other side of things, Invisible Girl can get away with not following this certain law since her quirk makes her body invisible. Midnight sees the cat and instantly falls in love with him, and they end up naming the cat Sushi after Shirakumo's favorite food, and Sushi's name being a reference to the manga Shota no Sushi. Midnight plans to take the cat with her, but remarks that she can't keep him for long since she plans to leave home after graduation, and she believes in the superstition that she would have a harder time getting married as a single cat owner, which turns out to be true, as we know that in the future she never gets married and remained single right up until the day she dies in the Paranormal Liberation War. The next day, it's just Shirakumo and Aizawa eating lunch together since Present Mike is currently attending a meeting for the agency he has been assigned to. Midnight Midnight finds them on the roof again, showing the two a video of Sushi taking a dump. But she isn't here just to show them the video. Midnight is here offering the boys to come do their work studies with her since her boss is willing to take on anyone. Finally, putting the stress of not being able to find an agency to do their work study under to rest. This scene with Midnight offering the boys an agency to work with parallels Shoto telling Bakugo and Deku to come do their work studies with him at Endeavor's agency. The two will be joining Team Purple Revolution, working under the pro hero His Purple Highness, whose character design is not only inspired by the famous late musician Prince, but Giovanna from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, making His Purple Highness literally a JoJo's reference. Now, this episode adapted 2 chapters, them being chapters 59 and 60. This was a fun episode as we finally get to dive into Aizawa's past. Let me know your thoughts on the 6th episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 2. Let me know everything in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit, smash that like button, and if you are new to the Kuroki channel, then be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on so that you don't miss any My Hero Academia Vigilantes Season 2 breakdowns. With that said, I'll see you all in the next one.